The Keenan Pixies.
Hi there, we are the Keenan Pixies, a South African family that sold everything we had and moved across the Atlantic to the Central American country of Panama. We are Denzel, the amazing musician, myself Genevieve, happiest when I can create, Jade Erin, a sensitive soul with the most caring heart, and Bella Fleur, our little butterfly that loves to sing, all of whom feel our absolute best when we're out and about exploring nature. Welcome to our story. Who knows what adventure is next? Hello, beautiful friends, and welcome to episode 2 of the Van Life Namibia series, the storytelling version. If you're not sure why we are referencing this as the storytelling version, be sure to watch episode 1. I will link episode 1 for you, and it tells all about copywriting as well as unfortunate hard drive failures. For now, let's kick off where we left off on our first day in the beautiful African country of Namibia. So let's talk about something that I actually never thought about when I traveled to an African country such as Namibia, a very deserty area, and that is, what do people actually eat? You know, in South Africa we have such a vast variety of landscapes and it's easy to grow food and we're known for our farmlands. But what about other African countries, especially countries where nothing really grows? In Namibia, you can literally drive for hundreds of kilometers. So myself and my sister had multiple conversations about this. But you drive and you drive and you drive and you see nothing, nobody, nothing, not a town, not a person, nothing, for hundreds of kilometers. And then when you do get to a place or a town where there are a few amounts of homes, none of these homes have greenery. Like, I have never experienced that in my life before. Driving past homes and all you see is sand in the backyard and the front yard, like not a drop of green.
You mean they must dig for water? They should.
Must dig, yeah, because then they can start planting grapes here. They can start planting lemons, it's hot, made work, and things that needs much more, and food, people food.
It was really quite interesting to observe and to view. And so that begs the question, what about fresh produce? What about fresh vegetables? And we were soon to learn that actually you don't get much of that. The biggest supermarkets, of course, have vegetables and fruits, but they're not really fresh and they're extremely expensive. And so what happened was, most of the time we ended up eating meat, especially game. Game meat is so much cheaper in Namibia than, for example, in South Africa. You would pay a lot of money to have organic game meat. But in Namibia, it was the other way around. Like, the game meat would be the cheapest meat that you would get. And this brings me to one of our traditional meats, which is biltong. You are not an African or a South African if you do not know about biltong or love your biltong. Um, I think if you were an American, it's something that you would relate to as beef jerky. Biltong is dried meat with certain types of spices, and you also get boerewors, which is basically the same, but it's softer to eat. And really, being there in the desert made me realize why food like this was precious to our ancestors, why food like this became a part of our tradition, why food like this was carried down from generation to generation, and how that really helped people to thrive out there in the middle of nowhere. And before we start like any type of debate about what type of diet is right and what is a conscious diet. Myself and Denzel were vegetarians, and on our first trip to Namibia, we very quickly realized that if we do not follow the food that the culture there is consuming, then we were either going to eat very little and come back home very skinny. And so would Jade, or we were just going to get very ill and feel very poorly. And also, the people there are just so hospitable. Like, you would go and they would be so open hearted and so welcoming and invite you over for dinner or invite you over for lunch. And I think that makes a big part of travel is what foods you consume and how hospitable you are, and how grateful you are for that which is being given to you. We didn't really have too much of a plan set up for this tour. We knew that we had to be at the wedding at a certain time, and we researched some of the restaurants within Namibia to see where we could possibly play a gig, but then we sort of left it open to fate to see where it would take us. We had heard about Joe's Beer House and what an amazing venue it was. So when we entered Windhoek, that was the plan. Get to Joe's Beer House, have a beer, have a lunch, and see if we can organize a date for a gig. However, we did end up getting a bit lost, but this was also a good time for us to just take it easy, take in the views, let the kids run around, and take a breath before the next step. We were most definitely not disappointed when we got to Joe's Beer House. It was one of the most interesting venues we have ever seen. So with a bit of luck, we got booked, and we will be heading back to Windhoek in upcoming videos for not only an awesome drumming circle, but also one of the best performances of the tour. You'll notice that there is a lot of German spoken in Namibia, as well as a lot of German family lines and origin, and many German references. I won't get into the details of the history of Namibia and Germany, except for mentioning that Namibia became a German colony in 1884 and later gained its independence in 1990, becoming the Republic of Namibia. We arrived at Otchiwarango and Mario and Joni's place at early evening. We had a good couple of celebratory days ahead of us, and it was wonderful to see Mario after a good many years. How was it to see Mario after so many years?
It was amazing to catch up with him. Yeah, and to see Marco, his son, who was getting married. He was so young when we saw him last, and now we saw him, he was like a real man, tough as nails.
One of the best surprises was that they had already set up a camp for us, so we didn't have to worry about setting up a tent, as they had already given us a beautiful tent with stretchers. We also had a long drop for a toilet, an outside toilet, which is basically a hole dug into the ground, which by the end of the camp, the kids rather wanted to use that one instead of the other toilets when they were finally set up and ready to be used, as well as an outside shower, which was surprisingly refreshing and wonderful to use as well. The area around our camp felt like a massive sand pit for the kids. I have never not seen children happy and excited to play in sand, and our children were definitely no exception. And they were right there, having the absolute best time of their lives. Maria and Joni were still completing the build on their home and their property, but it was truly so inspirational to see what they had already accomplished out there in the middle of nowhere, in the desert. We decided to go for a walk to see what was surrounding the camp area and also to explore the beautiful nature that was all around us. After the walk, we went back to the kitchen to make a lunch before heading out for a gig at Memoirs. This area of the kitchen and the platform would also later be transformed beautifully into a magnificent area for Marco's wedding. Our first journey to Namibia, it was actually during a time that it was Denzel's birthday, and we met great friends with people that were in the same camping grounds as we were. And so the night before, he tells us, well, he's going to get us early for breakfast and we are going to have some skaapchoppies and some oestertjies. So roughly translated, that is lamb chops and oysters. And so we were all like a bit getting back to our tent. We're like, that's great, but you know, like we've never had like lamb chops or oysters for breakfast, but we're all up for the adventure and for the experience of it. And so the next morning we got up and we went to the restaurant and we were all ready to enjoy a beautiful breakfast of lamb chops and oysters. Needless to say, that's not what we got. So how was your breakfast of skaapchoppies and oysters? Oestertjies.
Ah, that was my breakfast, my birthday breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, when they mentioned that they were going to bring oestertjies and skaapchoppies, I thought they were going to bring oysters and lamb chops for breakfast. So I was both surprised, disappointed and excited all at the same time.
I'm confused.
But it was wow. Yeah, delicious. Good way to start my birthday.
Okay, so what is a skaapchoppie?
A skaapchoppie, are you talking about like the real skaapchoppie or the drink?
Okay, what is the real skaapchoppie?
A skaapchoppie is a lamb chop. It's something that we like to braai in South Africa on the fire, and it's delicious.
Yeah. That's
And-
like one of the things that we really miss. Like we're back to not eating meat again, but
Lamb
but I think
curry
if
or
somebody
a lamb
offered us
chop,
a skaapchoppie right now, we'd be
hell yeah.
very thankful. What is a Namibian skaapchoppie?
Okay, Namibian skaapchoppie is cactus jack, which is like sours and tequila mixed.
It's called a tequila though. On the bottle it says tequila.
Yeah, so it's I think it's only like 20% alcohol, so it's a little bit not as potent as a proper tequila, but and it's a little bit sweeter and it's got a sourish twinge to it. So then what you do is you add Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire
So however you say that. Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. Worcester sauce.
Worcester sauce is what we call it. Worcester sauce.
Worcester sauce.
Worcester sauce. In English, you call it.
You guys
Worcester-
just
Worcestershire.
Nobody knows,
You
okay?
guys just-
So basically, you take your shot, you add like a couple of good drops of Worcestershire sauce, and you top it off with freshly ground black pepper, and that's it.
That's it. Yes.
Yes.
It's delicious. Like, surprisingly, it is so good.
And it tastes like a scop chop.
It
like
really
a real lamb
does.
chop.
Like, it feels like when we do our lamb chops, we would have like a braai sout, braai salt, which is a combination of herbs and spices that you would put on your meat.
You get a Worcestershire braai salt as well.
Yeah, and so surprisingly, this combination of the cactus jack with the Worcestershire sauce and the black pepper tastes just like a scop choppie, a real scop choppie.
Yeah.
And then we got oestertjies as well.
Yeah, oestertjie, which is translated as an oyster, is basically black pepper, also freshly ground black pepper on top of your shooter, and a couple of drops of Tabasco sauce.
Red Tabasco.
Red Tabasco, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that also is just delicious.
It really was.
Cactus Jack, you're welcome to sponsor us anytime.
Yeah, so I can't recall, we probably did eat something, I don't really remember.
For breakfast.
Yeah, because we were invited for breakfast and that's what we got on a little platter.
I can't remember, I mean after
No, don't say that.
oestertjies.
No, don't say that.
Yeah, but it's
But-
like, it's,
But it sort of became a family tradition after that. Like if we got together with Rick and Nikki and we could actually find a bottle of that in South Africa, then that sort of became a tradition to have a scop choppie or an oestertjie at family dinners.
and it's quite nice because it's not as strong as tequila, so you can have a couple of them without like
Yeah.
falling over, and very yummy. And in Namibia, it's kind of almost like a religion for the people there to drink scop choppies, oestertjies, and they had a couple of other weird, funny shooters. Can't
Did
remember
they?
what they were called. Yeah, those little bottles that they had with, of like cherry liqueur.
Oh,
It was
that
very
was
delicious.
so good. What was that? They come in little glass bottles. We sort of had it as our initiation, as a welcome into Windhoek, was it?
I think so. Yeah.
And you basically get you buy it in a pack and there's like 6. The German people would know exactly what we're talking about. Please forgive us for not
Yeah.
remembering. And then you have to tilt it back and drink it all in one go. But
Yeah,
it's
with-
really good. It's,
You've got to put it in your mouth and drink it without your hands, basically.
yeah, and it's like herbs and
No, there was one that was like a
like a
berry,
cherry,
a
like
cherry or a berry. Awesome gig. I remember the sound system being great. Mario put up the sound. Mario was our old manager when I was touring with the band called Roy Bart. So he had many years of practice getting his sound engineering under the belt and completely perfect. And he did a great job with the sound. So I remember that one specifically, we had a fantastic sound.
I think what was awesome was to see the community come together. Like Maria had sold tickets for Denzel and Rick to come and they would get a meal. And it was really actually amazing to see this small town in Africa and the community coming together to enjoy music, and everybody really loved it. So it was really a special evening all in all. Thank you so much for listening to the storytelling version of our second Namibia tour. Here and there, when we get chance, we'll tell you about stories of the first one.
Yeah, there's some
got-
pretty cool stories that we can
Yeah.
throw in there.
But we love you all very much. In the next episode, we go to the crocodile farm in Otchiwarango, which was one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, do you remember that, Jade?
Yeah, I remember. I remember having a crocodile teeth.
Yeah.
And I saw a baby crocodile.
We could
and
actually hold,
I think
like-
I got to pet it. Did I get
Yeah.
to pet it? Yeah, I got to pet it.
We
yeah.
got to hold
Yeah.
baby crocodiles,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
It
like...
was actually pretty cute.
That was a great memory.
Yeah.
As you can see, Jade is now much older.
Yeah, and I got a haircut.
So we will see you in the next episode at the crocodile farm.
Yeah.
That's it
Definitely.
for now. We'll
Awesome.
check you later.
Peace out.
out.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh.